The following is a paid advertisement. The views expressed are the sole responsibility of the advertiser.
Put the power back in your hands. This is Behind the Law with attorney Justin Clark.
Welcome to Behind the Law. Happy weekend to you. We have a great show just ahead. We're going to talk all things debt. And we're going to talk about debt today because there's a lot of it right now. The economy, a bit of a dumpster fire. You read the headlines. As always, I will do it with my beautiful co-host, Michaela Nichols. Michaela, how are you today?
I'm great.
You are the voice of the people at home. You are not a lawyer. I am a lawyer.
Thank you for the reminder.
You're going to, well, you don't want to be a lawyer, right?
No, I don't.
In fact, you said you hated lawyers one time.
All right,
if I remember
let's not say that.
Well, a lot of people agree with you. Trust me, I've heard all of the jokes. We are here live. We're going to answer any question you have. The phone number will be on the screen during the entire show, 321-282-1055. We'll talk IRS debt, credit card debt, mortgage debt, and other types of debt that a lot of you have right now. It's unfortunate, but the last few years have been weird, and we've accumulated a lot of debt. What do you do with it? Are you ready?
I am.
Here's what we're going to do. Very quick break. When we return, Behind the Law continues. Your debt does not have to control your life. You have the power to potentially lower or even eliminate your debt. I'm attorney Justin Clark. Call me now for a free consultation or visit youhavepower.com and take back control of your financial life. Here we are, Michaela and I, one of my favorite places in all of Central Florida. One of my favorite things to do is axe throwing. It's so much fun. I love it. There's only one place we go, though. Yeah. Obviously, Stumpy's Hatchet House. Its owners are here, Matthew, Estella. How are you guys?
Doing good.
Axe throwing in general. Some people have never tried it. Why should we?
Why not? I mean, it's a great time. We have a great place here, wonderful staff. We have a wonderful beer selection. It's just good times all around.
And this place feels unbelievably homey to me. It feels cozy. It feels like I'm transported into a cabin in North Carolina or Montana or something. How did you create this?
Well, it came with a lot of hard work, some busted fingers, and a lot of trial and error. Yeah. We a lot of the natural woodwork in here. Actually, all the natural woodwork was done by myself and one other person.
And a lot of people don't think about corporate events. They think corporate events. Oh, what restaurant am I going to rent out? What ballroom? What a great place to have a corporate event, a corporate meeting.
Yeah, it's we have TVs in here, so we do have ways that if you want to do a presentation of any kind, we can accommodate that. We have a PA system, so if you even want to do a tournament with a nice, let's get this thing going and rile up the crowd, you can. We even let it to where we have a free jukebox that you can come in, pick any music you like. It's great. You have a good
Jam
time.
out. If you haven't been axe throwing yet, come to Stumpy's Hatchet House right now, or if you have a meeting coming up, Stumpy's Hatchet House is a place for you. Have you been threatened by the IRS? You are not helpless. You have the power to fight wage garnishments and fight levies on your accounts. I'm Justin Clark. Call me now for a free consultation or visit youhavepower.com and take back control of your financial life. Welcome back to the show. Today's show is all about debt, and we're talking about debt because a lot of us have a lot of it right now. You're not big on debt.
No.
You're not. You've been bred to pay everything every month, no matter what, right?
Yeah, I don't like owing money to people.
Yeah, well, here's what's happened over the last 3 years. So the last 3 years have been weird. Obviously, the pandemic hit. A lot of people were out of work for a while, and then we started working from home, and the government was giving us a lot of money. And my belief is that we've created a society of people who are a little bit lazy. I'm trying to be nice about this, okay?
Just get to the point. Go ahead.
A society where a lot of people have gotten a little bit lazy. And we've been living off of credit cards. That's what's going on. The credit card debt in this country right now is more than it has ever been in the history of this country. And at some point, you got to pay for it. You got to either pay for your debt or what do you do? But also, you might have read that we've hired some or prepared to hire 80,000 new IRS agents. The IRS agents are going to come after you if you have IRS debt. And also in mortgages. What's happened with mortgages over the last 3 years is during the pandemic, the mortgage company would call you and they would say, hey, you can defer it for 3 months or 6 months. And now they're coming back saying you got to pay us. And that's just where we are right now in this country, unfortunately. And let's start with IRS then. So, Michaela, I know I've been around you long enough to know you're rigid when it comes to dealing with your books and your profit and loss statement and making sure the IRS is paid, right? Why are you
Yes.
like that?
Because I am bad with numbers, so
Yeah.
I pay people who are good with numbers to make sure my numbers are good.
I see. Well, here's what really happens, okay? So at my law firm, we deal with IRS debt all the time. We help people deal with their IRS problems. But what we find is a regular W-2 employee, generally speaking, they don't have any IRS problems, okay? Because their money is to the IRS is taken out every paycheck, and at the end of the year, they actually love to file taxes because they normally get a refund.
That must be nice.
It's the people that are self-employed that have problems with the IRS because it's up to them to make sure that they allocate a certain amount of funds to pay the IRS, or a lot of people have gone out on a limb to start their own business, and maybe it's a roofing company. Maybe it's a carpet guy, and they've been working for the man for their whole life, and they finally take this big, huge step in their life to where, I don't know what's so funny. Why are you laughing at me?
I'm not. Go ahead. I'm listening to your monologue.
It's not a monologue. I'm trying to include you. I'm looking at you. They take this big step to start their new business, and they're really good at carpet, or they're really good at roofing. They don't know anything about accounting. And that first year, everything is fine. They don't really pay the IRS. The second year, everything's fine. But at some point, the IRS is going to come calling, and then you're going to have to show your books. And they didn't do a very good job of keeping records and accurate profit and loss statements, accurate tax returns. And now we have suddenly IRS problems. I always tell people, anytime that you start a new business, yes, you're great at carpet, I understand that, but from day one, you need to hire an accountant or a bookkeeper or someone to watch your books from day one. If not, you're going to get so far behind with the IRS, and ultimately you're going to get in trouble, or you're going to have to stroke big checks. And the IRS isn't like American Express where they have to sue you. The IRS literally just goes into your bank account and takes money out. And that's a very scary proposition for someone who owns a business who's, a lot of times, especially in new business, we're really week to week, month to month when it comes to money. It's just, that's what it is. And I have a lot of respect for someone who starts their own business, but my first piece of advice always is make sure you have a good bookkeeper. But then what do you do, okay? The IRS sends you a letter and they say you owe $100,000 or $200,000. What do you do in that situation? What would you do then?
I'd probably freak out and
Okay,
call.
freak
I
out,
would
number
call
one.
an attorney because I'd be like, I don't know what to do.
So the beautiful news is if you do owe money to the IRS, we do have options. You have options to deal with them, and you need to deal with them. In fact, the IRS is debt person number one to deal with, in my opinion. So here are the options we see when it comes to dealing with your IRS debt. First of all, bankruptcy, okay? Everyone always comes into my office and they say the same thing. Bankruptcy cannot wipe out IRS debt. What do you think? Can it?
Probably not.
It can. This is an absolute misnomer. Bankruptcy will wipe out IRS debt that's more than 3 years old. So that's the first option you need to look at with dealing with the IRS debt is bankruptcy. If you don't want to file bankruptcy, or the bankruptcy is not going to help you with the IRS debt, there are other things you can do. So
But isn't that bad to
What?
file bankruptcy? Like, that sounds horrible.
we'll get to that in a minute. How
we're
is
not
that?
there yet.
Because I have
Okay.
a whole different view of bankruptcy when it comes to families, but we'll get to that in a second. Hold that. Great
We'll
question.
see. We'll
Hold
see
that
if we
thought.
get there.
A settlement, okay? There's a fancy word for a settlement with the IRS. It's called an offer in compromise. Literally, all that means is you're settling with the IRS. Let's say you owe $100,000. Maybe they'll settle with you for 20 or 30. A settlement with the IRS. An offer in compromise is something that you can do. It's a lengthy process. It's not like we just call them up and say, yo, I'll give you 20 G's, will you go away? It's a process you have to go through, and you have to really prove that the IRS is making a good business decision to settle with you for something less than you owe, but we see them do it all the time. It's not something you want to do on your own, I assure you. It's very complicated, but it's something that they do all the time. Another option with the IRS, if they won't settle with you, or maybe you don't have a big chunk of money to give them, is you go in there and you try to get what's called a penalty abatement. So if you owe $100,000 to the IRS, it's very likely that you only really owe 60 or 65. The rest of that money is these penalties. And if you haven't had any issues with them before, generally speaking, they will wipe away those penalties and then put you on an installment agreement where you pay them over time. A payment plan. All right, these are just other terms for terms that we've known before. An installment agreement is a payment plan. That's all it is. Other issues we see all the time is, yes, ma'am.
Oh, well, you're just like gonna
No, I
keep
like
going.
it. Raise your hand.
Well,
I
that's
like
the only
it.
way to get you to stop talking. So let's say I'm doing a payment plan with the
Yes.
IRS, and however that's agreed upon, whatever. Do I still have to then? Does that include my taxes from like this year, or is it like, hey, you owe this much and you owe your taxes this year?
No, the payment plan is going to be anything that you've owed in the past. And part of the payment plan is you have to keep your taxes current moving forward. So if you don't file a return or you owe money in that next year, they'll wipe out that installment agreement or that payment plan, and it doesn't exist anymore. So a big part of getting into an installment agreement with the IRS is making sure that you keep your taxes current moving forward. That's a really good question, actually.
Thanks.
And people ask me all the time, too. They're like, Justin, do you feel bad? Does the IRS hate you? You know, they see your TV advertisements that you help with IRS debt. The IRS loves me because I take business owners, self-employed people who have not been in the system for years. Maybe they haven't filed tax returns for years. Maybe they owe a lot of money to the IRS, and I put them back in the system. You see? I'm bringing them back to the IRS and getting them current one way or another. The IRS loves what we're doing. So no, I don't feel guilty at all, and the IRS doesn't hate me. They actually, I'm not going to say they love me, but they like me, okay? You would think they would hate me, right?
That's, yeah.
But they don't. But as we sit here together today, it is very important. If you have debt with the IRS, you need to get out ahead of it now. It will come back to burn you at some point if you do not do something about it. The phone number's on the screen. We'll answer your questions right now or have you come into the office at 321-282-1055. I think IRS is the most scary debt for people. But it's scary, too, if you haven't filed returns. I know a lot of business owners who come in my office and they haven't filed a tax return in 3, 4, 5, 12 years.
Like, how does that happen?
Well, it keeps you up at night, too. It keeps them very stressed, but the relief that they feel after they leave the office, knowing them we can get them back in the system and current with the IRS, it really is a great feeling and not too painful, really. I mean, there's some pain to go through getting everything straightened out, and it's going to cost some money for sure, but the relief that you feel at night when you lay your head down on the pillow as a business owner and you can't sleep because you're worried that the IRS is going to come arrest you, that's a very powerful and scary feeling that people have, but it's a feeling that you don't have to have. It's a feeling that you can overcome. I know you're not ever going to get in that position. I know.
Nope,
I've seen
not.
you.
I got my accountant, I got my bookkeeper, I do my returns.
You're kind of overkill with
Hey,
it a little
listen,
bit, I
I don't
think.
want to go to jail, so.
Yeah, and a lot of
that.
people ask that question too. Can I go to jail for owing money to the IRS? And the answer is not.
It's yes.
It's
The answer is yes.
It would have to be something really, really, really bad. But the more scary part of that is if you owe money to the IRS, they literally can just go into your bank account and take it out. Unlike most other debts where they have to sue you and serve you and you've got plenty of time to fight it, it's not like that with the IRS at all. What about student loans? You've heard a lot about that lately, right?
I have.
It's a real hot button issue in American politics right now. You have student loan debt. What do you do about it? Do you have student loan debt?
I do not.
You're perfect.
Yep.
You're perfect.
I don't like debt.
If you have student loan debt, what can you do about it? It's just ahead as Behind the Law continues. Have you been threatened by the IRS? You are not helpless. You have the power to fight wage garnishments and fight levies on your accounts. I'm Justin Clark. Call me now for a free consultation or visit youhavepower.com and take back control of your financial life. If you own a house, it is your most valuable possession. You need to know what windows you have. Why don't you think about your windows? Do you have any idea that your windows really dictate your electricity bill every single month? There's one place to turn in this community for windows in your house, and it's certainly Renewal by Anderson. Dan Brigman joins me. You're family to me at this point. Let's be honest. I love you. I love your family. But the Renewal by Anderson family is what makes you so trustworthy. The culture there, it's a family, Dan.
Absolutely, Justin. And by the way, glad to be here. And yeah, it's our people, it's our process, it's our product, but it's our people more than anything. When we come out to your house, it's all about you. It's about we're going to treat your home as if it's our own. We're going to do the same with your family.
I put a QR code on the screen for you, and Dan is offering you an unbelievable deal today. If you go to the QR code, you're going to send an email. What do they get?
Man, you buy one window, get 40% off the next, almost unheard of. We're excited.
Unbelievable. And then you talk about the electricity bill, because windows, I don't think people understand how important the windows are to the electricity bill every month, and the electricity bills are skyrocketing.
It's extremely important, and glass in your house takes up over 25% of the square footage of your wall space in your home. So that's the equivalent of one full wall in your house. Imagine sun hitting that all day long and all of that heat coming in.
A lot of people think window replacement would be very expensive. Sometimes we can do it for free. When you think about monthly payment over time, no interest, the money you save on your electricity bill, it's free.
Absolutely. By the time you put all the factors together, the energy savings, the curb appeal, the resale value, all of these things just add up. And then you got the financing that we have going on right now. Zero interest, 2.9, things that you just don't see anymore.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
If you own a house, thank you, Dan, as always. If you own a house, you need to send us a message right now. You will not be disappointed. Renewal by Anderson. Welcome back to the show. Today is all about debt, of which you have none, but a lot of people at home do. I've had plenty of debt. I understand what it's like starting a business from scratch, and sometimes it takes a little bit of debt to really start a successful business, unfortunately. So I know exactly what it feels like. But I also know about student loan debt. I went to undergrad, I went to law school. I had a lot of student loan debts. I didn't grow up rich by any stretch of the imagination. I had no real choice. I worked through all college, I worked through all of law school, but I still needed debt. Those student loan, that Sally Mae was really cool in school, right? But then when you get out, Sally Mae is not as cool as you thought she was. And what do you do in that situation? And student loans right now are a huge issue in this country. And we've passed some laws. They're fighting about just wiping out a bunch of student loan debt. And I have pretty specific feelings on what we should do with student loans in this country. And my firm deals with student loans all day long, so I have a real front row seat to how student loans are really dealt with in this country. And this is not a political show. I get that. I'm not trying to be political by any stretch of the imagination. I have seen these student loan companies, really the servicers. You've seen them. If you have student loans, you know who I'm talking about. And they're completely and totally incompetent, okay? They're not competent in handling your student loans. And I see families get wrecked by trying to pay these student loans, because student loans, at least federal ones, just like the IRS, they don't have to sue you. They just send you a letter and start garnishing your paycheck. If you've dealt with this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Student loans are very scary for people, and they make it impossible almost to deal with it. That's why we're so busy at our firm dealing with them. So now we decided, okay, let's fix this problem. Here's what we're gonna do. Let's just wipe away 20 grand in everyone's student loan debt. This sounds political, but I'm not trying to be. This is really not a smart move. This is not how to fix the student loan problem, because the people who have $100,000 or $200,000 in student loan debt, they're not going to get any help by you wiping away $10,000 or $20,000. It's not going to make a dent in their monthly payment. What we need help with is we need to reset the interest rates for these people, or these people who are already delinquent with their student loans. Instead of making them go through hell and back to try to start paying you back, let's figure out a program to where we kind of get everyone on a level playing field, make their payments reasonable, and here's what will happen. People will start paying you again. That's the obvious solution with the student loan problem, not just go in and wipe out it just doesn't make sense. It's nonsensical to me. But really, the moral of the story for you and your student loan debt is you need to probably call someone like me who deals with this problem, and let's go through it together in my office, okay? 321-282-1055. There's never a charge for you to come in for a consultation. We'll talk through it. I'll say I can help you, or I can't help you, or I'll give you advice on what you should do. Student loans are scary too. IRS, scary. Student loans, scary. What about credit card debt, though?
Scary.
Credit card debt is not quite as scary. It is scary, but okay, here's the difference.
When you see that statement come in and it's like a couple grand, you're like, ooh, that's scary.
I'd love to be a fly on the wall one day when you open up your credit card statement.
I pay it off every month.
What I know, but not how much it is, but what you spend the money on. Clothes, shoes, what
Well, I
mostly?
have different cards for different things. I have business expenses. I have personal. The personal expenses are a little. I could cut back on that.
Right.
Yeah.
Millennia type stuff, right?
Yeah.
I understand. We get
It's an
that.
investment in myself.
Yeah, I got you. But credit card debt is scary, yes, but credit cards cannot just go into your bank account and take your money. A credit card, whether it's Amex, Visa, whoever it is, if you don't pay them, they're going to have to sue you. So they have to file a lawsuit against you in court. They have to have a process server come out and serve you. You have 20 days to respond, and then you can kind of fight it out with them or settle with them or whatever you're going to do. So it's not as scary. They can't just come in and take your money. But
So if I decide to just not pay my credit card bill, then they sue me? Is that what you're saying?
ultimately, yeah, sometimes it takes quite a while, but ultimately they generally would sue you if you don't pay them. Yeah, it takes a while. I mean, the biggest headache for you is your credit's going to take that ding. So if you're trying to get a mortgage or buy a car and you're not paying your credit card, that's not going to look good on you, and it's going to be almost impossible to get a mortgage and even difficult to buy a car. So that's the biggest problem, I think, with credit card debt. But when it comes to credit card debt, and again, I get nasty grams sometimes for saying what I'm about to say, that I think bankruptcy oftentimes is by far and away the best move for some of you. For some of these families out there, bankruptcy can be a life-changing card to play when you really need it. And here's what I see, all right? So I see good families. I see a husband, wife comes in, 2 kids, and you can tell they're just a great family, hardworking. They work their tails off to support that family, and they make decent money. But at the end of the month, they don't have any cash in the bank to put food on the table for their child. They don't. And so I'll say, okay, let's talk about your credit card debt. How much do you have? And I guess it's not a lot, really. And I'm like, okay, go through them all. And they're like, well, it's Amex is 12 grand, Visa, I've got 8. And then you start adding it up, and it's $60,000, $70,000 in credit card debt. And when you have that kind of credit card debt, you're paying $1,800, $2,000 a month just in the minimums on this. And it's more than $1,800 or $2,000 because this is post-tax money for you as well that you're paying merely to pay these old credit card debts. And sometimes in that situation, I fully believe that a bankruptcy is the right way to go to help you and to help your family. I'm a firm believer that for some people, bankruptcy is the right way to go. In fact, a life-changing way to go. And here's what you think about. Do it in your head. Create a spreadsheet. My debt, what I'm paying every month, my income. Make it simple for yourself to see. This is what I have coming in. This is what's going out. This is insurmountable debt at times. You can file a bankruptcy, which at Chapter 7 lasts about 3 months. You don't even have to go to court, and all of that debt is wiped away immediately. So you've just freed up $2,000 a month to pay for your family to where you're not in this vicious cycle every month. As we sit here in somewhat early April, think about that. At the end of April, are you going to have any money in your bank account at all? And you're doing it all because we were raised to pay our debt. And I understand I'm going to get criticism for this, but I feel great about looking in the faces of my clients who are crying in my office because they know at the end of this month, just like the end of last month and the end of the month before that, they're going to have no money. They're going to be stressed about putting money on their family's food table, putting food, whatever I'm trying to say, you know what I'm trying to say, putting food on the table for their family, and they're more concerned about making sure that Amex gets paid back. I'm not. Look, Amex or any of these other credit card companies charge an interest rate. This is part of their business model, is they know some people are going to not pay. Some people are not going to pay their bill in full, or they're going to file bankruptcy. This is the business model, okay? And I fully support filing bankruptcy. When you hear the word bankruptcy, what do you think?
Really not great things. I mean, it sounds like kind of embarrassing, and I don't know.
And
there's a stigma, I feel like.
And you know, Dallas Lehman's here. He's looking at me too. He's a mortgage guy, and bankruptcy makes it difficult to get a mortgage as well. But let me tell you what else is difficult. If you have $50,000 or $70,000 in credit card debt, what do you think that's doing to your debt-to-income ratio right now? And everyone, they don't want to file bankruptcy because it's going to affect their credit. If you have a horrible debt-to-income ratio, your credit is already not so good. No one's going to want to lend to you anyway because your income can't support any other payments. So sometimes bankruptcy is best for you because it helps your debt-to-income ratio as well. We handle bankruptcy all the time. It's at Chapter 7, at Chapter 13. There are plenty of different options that you can look at. And many times you come into my office and I say bankruptcy is not right for you. But a lot of times I say bankruptcy is the right way to go. I'd love to talk to you anytime. 321-282-1055. Are you mad at me? Because some people are going to be mad at me.
I mean, I disagree.
You disagree. We agree to disagree. It's not the first time that's happened, huh?
Yeah, nope, not the last.
Here's what we're going to do. Quick break. When we return, it's what did we learn? Are you worried about your student loan payments? I don't blame you. The great news for you is now we have more options than ever. Go to our website, youhavepower.com, to find out what options may exist for you and your student loans. If you own a house, you can imagine the roof is probably the most important part of your house. You see a leak, this is a very bad day for you. We have a lot of bad roofing companies out there. We call them storm chasers, in fact. Universal Roof and Contracting joins me. Justin, Corey, you guys are not storm chasers. You've been around for many, many years in this market and really the best in the business and Hall of Fame guest for me as well. What I've done, though, is I put a QR code on the screen for you. All you have to do is scan your phone on the QR code, and we're getting 15% off free roof inspection. Tell me about this.
Yeah, so it's a 15% off a full roof replacement. We do offer free inspections. What you do is you just give us a call, schedule an appointment. We will show up on time as scheduled, provide a free full point inspection, share photos with you, and let you know exactly what you're looking at, what your options are, and decide which path to walk you down. But ultimately, we're going to approach roofing whatever serves you the best.
A lot of people are in this black hole of fighting with their insurance company, their attorney, the public adjuster, whatever, and literally have a tarp on their roof for 2-3 years sometimes while everyone fights it out. The roof is important. If you don't address your roof issue now, damage can occur in your house. What can happen?
Oh, I mean, mold is probably one of the biggest. We have homeowners that have to move out of their property for months at a time just to get the mitigation done of the mold. So if you're seeing any of those brown spots in the ceiling, if you see a missing shingle in the yard, granule loss, any of those are great reasons for us to come do an inspection and kind of get ahead of that, making sure that you're not going to have those kind of issues.
When it comes to roofing, I think that trust is maybe the most important part of hiring a great roofing company. Why do I trust Universal Roof and Contracting?
Family-owned, veteran-owned, 3 decades in your own backyard, community roofer. Any other reasons are good as the next one. It's just we serve the community. We wear our consultant's hat first, but we're just there to serve and take care of you the best way.
Football team coming to town, I heard?
Yeah. The Orlando Guardians. We just became the official roofing partner of the new Orlando Guardians XFL team. We're super happy about that. Looking forward to a great season.
I love you guys. Do yourself a favor. Need a new roof? There's only one place. It's Universal Roof and Contracting. And we wrap it up today with what did we learn? Michaela Nichols, what did you learn?
I learned that I really still don't believe in debt. That's all I got.
That's good, but also imagine, put yourself in the shoes of a hardworking family who has, kids and school, and you have tires that need to be changed, and there's just not enough cash sitting around. The vast majority of Americans do live that way. So I hope that you can have an open mind about it.
I think you're great for what you do for people and how you can help change their lives.
Very well said. I learned that people do get mad at me for telling you that bankruptcy sometimes is the right way to go, but also sometimes we say it's not the right way to go. It's just every situation is a little bit different, and you'll see someday. You'll see. Well, I hope not. I hope you don't see, but life is full of challenges. There are options to deal with those challenges. Thank you as always. Have a great week, and we'll see you again next week for more Behind the Law.
The proceeding was a paid advertisement. The views expressed were the sole responsibility of the advertiser.